The Cowboys trade offer from the Green Bay Packers has been leaked. We have some major updates on Micah Parsons, as multiple NFL insiders have said a move will come eventually for the Cowboys and Micah Parsons. It's just about when. Welcome to Cowboys Digest, everybody. I'm Jace Andrews. We appreciate you tuning in to today's show. As always, if you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's 100% free, and it makes sure you're in the know on the latest news, information, and updates on your Dallas Cowboys. We start with a headline today. An NFL insider expects the Packers to be really interested in Micah Parsons. Now, the reason this is so key is because if you don't know, we had a video come out a couple days ago that revealed this. The Packers have been rumored to have sent an offer to the Dallas Cowboys for Micah Parsons. Now, at the time of that recording, we didn't exactly know what the offer was, and now it seems like that has been leaked out to the public. We start first with some backstory, though, and talking more about the Packers and why they would be such a good fit. Bill Huber of Sports Illustrated says this, quote, "More than 2 weeks later, nothing has changed. The Cowboys have said they will not trade their all-pro defender, but as of August 13th, the sides have not engaged in contract talks. At some point, something has to give. If the Cowboys are the ones who give, the Green Bay Packers could be a legitimate destination in a trade," according to NFL Network insider Ian Rapoport. And that's kind of where we have our first report, as Rapoport talked a lot about the Packers and Micah Parsons. Here is what he had to say. Quote, "I would expect that the Packers would be among the teams interested, and I would expect the Packers to be among the teams really interested. That's the kind of team that I would say if Micah was going to be traded, that he'd be going to," end quote. Okay, so Micah Parsons has been in this little trade dilemma for almost, we're talking 3 weeks at this point. August 1st was when he requested that trade. There's a lot of good reasons as to why the Packers would be a good destination, but for the Cowboys' point, what exactly would he get back in this trade if this did occur? Well, we kind of have to go back to Rapoport as he talks more about it. Quote, "They have money to spend and they are really good. So that's the kind of team that I would say if Micah was going to be traded, that he'd be going to, because we need one final piece. This guy's an absolute dog. He's worth all the money, so pay him all the money, but it'd be worth it because you get Micah Parsons," end quote. And Jerry Jones, you should take that advice. It'd be worth it because it is Micah Parsons. Simple as that. I don't understand why we have gotten to this point and why we are talking about Micah Parsons being traded. But either way, I've made you wait long enough. Here is the trade offer that has been supposedly leaked out to the public. Now, originally, we thought it was Rashad Gary and a couple of picks. Well, here is exactly what is believed to be offered to the Cowboys. The Packers offered 2 first-round picks, a second-round pick, and a 5th-round pick for the Cowboys. Jerry and Stephen Jones declined. I probably would too. 2 first-round picks is great. Obviously, with the Packers, you probably expect it to be at the upper part, or the lower part, I should say, whatever you want to call it, the latter part. There you go. The first round, it's going to be closer towards the 15s to the 30s, rather than up towards the top of the draft. So definitely something there. And then, interestingly enough, that draft or that trade would also cause for some financial problems for the Packers, just because of the contract right now that Micah Parsons is on, and that, all expectations are that any other team in the NFL besides the Cowboys who have Micah Parsons would immediately sign him to a $45 million deal. That is the expectation across the NFL landscape. And obviously, this is just one report. I talked about multiple insiders talking about it, and obviously, Ian Rapoport believes the Packers are a big place that Micah Parsons could land. We know what he was able to do last season, even while being injured. And I always bring up the stat sheet just because I think it's so key to talk about when you look at 13 games played and still 12 sacks and fighting his butt off and being injured throughout some of this season and still fighting. And yet Jerry Jones has the audacity to come out and say, you know what? He was injured. We signed him. What to say he doesn't play? What's to say he doesn't play? What's to say that you are the idiot of the league? I don't really understand why it continues to be a question mark with Jerry Jones and Micah Parsons. This deal should have been done whiles ago, but there's more to talk about. Lovely, great, right? I know, more to actually look at and be frustrated with. So if you don't know, Adam Schefter also yesterday talked about Micah Parsons, and his quote was that the Cowboys and Parsons are, quote, headed towards divorce. Oh gosh, this is it continues to get more frustrating, but let's go into what Adam Schefter had to say on his own podcast, saying, quote, The Cowboys have come out and said what they said publicly at the start of training camp, which Micah didn't like. Micah came out and asked to be traded, said he was ready to move on from Dallas, which I'm sure they didn't like. And right now, both sides seem to be angry, end quote. All right, well, that's a scoop for sure. I mean, we knew that Micah Parsons was frustrated. We knew that Jerry Jones was frustrated. But when you are getting official reports from ESPN and NFL insiders that both sides seem to be angry at each other, that doesn't bode well for a contract getting done. Because if you are trying to compare this to the Myles Garrett situation where he was with the Browns, he requested a trade and then immediately signed the $40 million contract, there was a difference in that. There was no ill will between the Browns and Myles Garrett. Yeah, obviously there was some frustration behind the contract, but it was not anger toward each other. It was, hey, I want to get paid. Y'all aren't going to do it. Just trade me. Like, I don't want to. I also want to be for a team who's not winning. And then guess what? The Browns said, how about we pay $40 million? He said, okay, I'll stay here. No worry. Thank you, sir. Sign the contract. We're good. And yet Jerry Jones said, oh, Micah Parsons, yeah, you want to be a Cowboy for the rest of your career? No, I don't want you to be. No, I don't think that'd be a smart idea. I think you're too injured. You know, those 4 games you missed last year. That's too much for my blood. Bye. See ya. Good job, Jerry. Good job. That's fantastic news. So let's continue on in the report here from Adam Schefter. I can pull it up here. Good grief. This is a frustrating thing, but Adam Schefter says this, quote, now, have other people put those feelings aside in the past and figured out a way to work out a deal? Yeah, I don't see that happening here. I see these two sides headed towards divorce in time. Quote, the only question is, when is that divorce going to happen, and how is it going to happen? Are they going to trade him now? Are they going to trade him after this year? Are they going to move on? When? It is one thing for the Dallas Cowboys to mismanage Micah Parsons in the way they have mismanaged him. It is another thing to have this entire situation go down, and when it's all said and done, you come out with a trade of scraps. Because at this point, here is what could happen. Micah Parsons could get to week 1 and say, you know what? I don't want to play. And you know what? I wouldn't blame him. I'd be like, okay, that makes sense. And yeah, he would be costed, he'd be fined. There'd be $500,000 fines, $1 million fines pretty much every game. But Micah Parsons has other ways of making money. He's already a very wealthy man and could easily, if he is that frustrated, get away with it. He could. Would it be fun for him? No. But he could get away from it, especially for the first couple weeks. And there is a way where the Cowboys can work it out and he'll play the entire season, and that'd be great. But in that situation, it's the last year of his contract. You can franchise tag him. You're going to be paying him a heck of a lot. And as the years go by, if you keep franchise tagging him, he's going to be paid more and more and more up to the quarterback pay. So if Jerry Jones wants to make right by this, you sign him to a $45 million. You offer him a blank check and say, what do you want on it? But what's most likely going to happen is we're going to play this year. And Micah Parsons will choose to play or not play, be frustrated, be not frustrated, whatever. The Cowboys will franchise tag him at the end of the year, and at that point, they will then have probably the option to sign and trade him. Do a little sign and trade. We've seen that happen with a couple of different players across the league. Most recently, I can think of L'Jarius Sneed, the Chiefs cornerback. The sign and trade there. He was franchise tagged and then shipped off to Tennessee. It's something that has been done before, and the way that this is working out, it's reminding me of a lot of different situations where the player ends up going to play this year, and Micah Parsons, will choose to play or not play. And next season, though, he will not be a Cowboy. And that pains me to say. It does. Because you had a perfect player on a silver platter. You had the money to pay him. You're the Dallas Cowboys. I understand this cap space, but you had the ability to work this out perfectly. You have the cap space available there to pay him. And you chose to not. You chose to not talk to him over the past couple of years. You didn't want to pay him too early. Now you're trying to blame injuries. You're trying to get him for a discount. You can say what you want. You got Dak Prescott to a huge contract last year. You can say what you want. CeeDee Lamb, you got him to a big contract last year. But ever since Micah Parsons said he wanted to trade, every one of his teammates had his back. not yours, Jerry. Not yours. It is a frustrating thing that we are in this situation, and the offers are going to keep coming in, and we're going to keep talking about them. But I don't know if there will ever be an offer where I'm going to be like, yes, unless it is a just absolute mega deal. Simply because I wanted Micah Parsons to be a Cowboy forever, and now it's not looking like that's going to be so. We appreciate you tuning into the show today. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Obviously, if you're here, you're enjoying the content, you made it to the end of the video. We appreciate each and every single one of you. We'll see you next time here on Cowboys Digest. Peace out, guys.